Do Walter, tell us, what did you want to share about your ficus today?
Well, this ficus was an accident. I never wanted a ficus. Well, I had one 40 years ago when I started out with bonsai, but only to find out that this is not for me because this is not the climate for tropical trees. While we can keep them, they are not so happy. If you have ever seen ficus in the Caribbean or in South America, then you know what a healthy, happy ficus looks like. And ours in our rooms don't look like that. Anyway, why do I have this ficus? Well, a very good friend of mine one day said to me, Walter, you want my ficus? I said, no. I don't do tropicals. He said, yeah, but it's this nice one that you admired. I said, oh yeah. So I remembered that he showed us this ficus when it was about half the size, or even 1/3, but already well structured and pretty cool. And that was a gift of his ex-wife, okay? So he had a sort of ugly divorce, and he says that every time I saw this ficus, it reminded me of my ex-wife. And in winter, we had to put it in the living room, and it dropped foliage, and the foliage was brown, and the tree was ugly. And I hated it so much, and it was so I give that to you, okay? So to be nice to him, I accepted that. And then I figured, okay, I don't want no ficus, so you know what, I sell this. So I put a big price tag on it because it's a pretty good ficus, you know. For European standards, there's not many like this. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of ficus. It's just like in America. Endless. However, find a one that looks really good, very, very rare. There are some in Asia which are well structured and so, but they are not so cheap either. So in Asia they have much better ficus, but in Europe they don't. So this grew and grew, and then I raised the price tag, and of course it's still there. And now I say, oh, okay, I want a ficus one, and that's it. Okay, because for some reason it's quite happy. What I did not know that you can overwinter these. It's very cool, almost close to freezing, and they still look like that. And I don't put this in my living room. My wife would not be very happy, but I have this room downstairs where there's some light, and it's pretty cold down there. There's no heating, but it does not get to freeze. And I put it right there, and over winter it loses some foliage, and then I totally defoliate it, and you see what's happening here over summer, and it looks pretty nice. So I think it's a well-structured bonsai. It does not look like a real ficus in nature would do, but it's something that many people will like. It's more this bonsai style. It's a bonsai ficus, obviously, but I let it grow freely, so it's becoming a more half naturalistic sort of tree, which kind of gives you a natural feel, although it's not really a natural form. And then the top here is slightly overgrown. I do this on purpose. I could, of course, cut this back and it will look nicer, but I let it grow very high and then cut off, because then the effect of backbudding is much stronger. Many people don't really understand this. They really learn that whenever something is too long, you cut it off, it will backbud. And they even pinch these things and think they're doing the right thing for the tree. No, they're doing the right thing for themselves and for the viewers, but not for the tree. The tree hates to be pinched, and the tree, when it's cut, wants to backbud, but only if it has enough energy. So the trick is, how do you give energy to that tree? Many people would say, well, you feed it. Well, how do you feed a tree? Okay, well, you put some fish thing on it. No, you cannot feed a tree like it. It's not an animal. Well, but sure, we fertilize it. Yes, we fertilize it. So what's fertilizing? What's fertilizing? what would be fertilizing for you? Like your food? No. Like taking vitamins, or drinking a bottle of mineral water with some minerals in there. That's really what fertilizing means. Feeding is a misnomer. You should never call it feeding. You're not feeding the trees. Everybody has learned this at school, but just about everybody has forgotten about it, that trees live from what? Trees live from air, water, and sun, period. Nothing else. Did I not forget fertilizer? No, I did not forget it. They don't need fertilizing. Aha, really? Well, they need water, and in the water there are some minerals, especially if you take tap water, and if you take rainwater, maybe you should add a very little fertilizer, but that's about it. Oh, really? What most people don't know is that you cannot kill a tree by not fertilizing it, because it's not feeding. If I never ever in 100 years don't fertilize this ficus, it will most probably not die. It's very difficult to kill a ficus, especially by not fertilizing. It will not grow very well, but it will not die. But it may well die if I over-fertilize it very quickly. So trees need very little fertilizing, or can even survive totally without it. So this happened. It's 3 times thicker just by being a ficus. It grows very strong and very quickly, much stronger than I'm used to with our ordinary trees that take 20, 30 years to triple in size, and this one takes 5, 6 years, and that's it. So anyway, one thing that you cannot see very clearly from on the video, that this tree was structured, was built, was like engineered. What does that mean? This nice little bonsai form was not created like putting wire around a tree and bending it nicely. This was built by taking several straight trees, cut slices like for a cake, and put these together in a crafty way so that it has this form. You can still see the cuts. You will see them in 20 years, but only if you're an expert, you know that. But that's really crafty. Or even the roots still plugged on, and you can do this with a ficus, which is crazy. I could actually cut it off and have a cutting, and as long as I keep that moist, it will grow. So anyway, this ficus will, when I cut the top, will then have enough strength to build a lot of new buds, and then it will fill out. The back is not so good. You don't see that, thanks God. So you're seeing the front. The back sort of died off because I never turned the tree, and it was always in the shade here, and they don't like that. Otherwise, a ficus is a great thing, even for people who are not living in a tropical area, especially this kind. Many other tropical species you should better not keep if you don't have this climate. Okay, so this tree is not for sale anymore, because by now it's one of the better trees in Europe, a better ficus anyway. I don't know of a better one. That doesn't mean it's very good. It's also not naturalistic, by the way. It's just sort of a mixture. But this tree gets a lot of attention because even people who have no clue about bonsai can relate to a ficus. Everybody has had a ficus or has one.
What kind of species is it?
It's Ficus retusa, which is the most common one, and that's the one you should have anyway, because you can almost not kill it. Okay, so even if it can freeze slightly, will still not kill it. Okay, very little freezing is okay. It happened to me because I left it out here, and it did freeze a bit, and I thought, okay, it's done. No, it's not done. It might lose some foliage. So sometimes if the tree has a real shock, then it does shed foliage, and then people get scared because this is not a deciduous tree. Well, the ficus doesn't know that. So it just keeps on and brings new buds.
When you're working on the branches, Do you think of giving them a different shape or feeling because it's a tropical species, or do you treat it fairly similar to the other trees in the garden?
Well, since this one looks like a typical bonsai, I wonder whether I should give it a tropical feeling, because what's a typical bonsai look like? It's an idealized Japanese white pine. It's the informal upright, the Miyugi style, with more or less horizontal big branches with the clouds on it, and that's basically what a Japanese white pine looks, and it's idealized, and that's the typical bonsai shape. That's a commercial invention, and it's done by the thousands, by the hundreds of thousands, and this is done very well, but it's a very artificial form, which absolutely does not resemble anything like a natural ficus. So I could naturalize this, but I don't think it's a very good idea. Since this was structured that way, I would have to start with a total reset. I would have to cut all the branches and start anew, and it takes another 20 years. So I don't do that. So since you have to understand that while, yeah, I have sort of coined the term naturalistic style, I've not invented the style, but I gave it a name. And I do most of my new trees in the naturalistic style. That doesn't mean I always do that and only do that. I look at the tree, and this tree was designed to look like a bonsai tree. So I think I continue to let it look like a bonsai tree.
I see that the character on the lower trunk is fantastic, where the roots are kind of fusing together. Do you expect any similar character to develop up higher on the trunk? I don't see that a lot on ficus.
Well, these are very, very smooth here. What in the tropicals you probably could have aerial roots on this tree, but here you don't, because this is not the climate for it. But there are ways of actually do this artificially, but that's way too much work for me. What for? And then I have these silly little hanging roots, whereas in the tropicals you have them the thick ones, the real ones. No, I could put this in a terrarium, sort of in a cage, which I heat and make moist, and put some artificial light in there and grow it. So I'm not used to do all this sort of thing for bonsai. I leave him alone mostly, so I leave him alone. And he's sort of my companion now. It's accepted. You were not invited, you just sneaked into my life, and now you're here, you're fine.
Awesome, thank you.